Good morning, Chaos fans. This is the Rage Monster here with Jason in the studio, and we're back for another edition of Conversational Chaos, the intelligent ramblings between Jason and the Rage Monster.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jason.
How are you?
Honestly, I'm hot this morning. We're not going to get into it again, but I was totally the Rage Monster about 15 minutes ago, and if it wasn't for the intern, I would have continued to be the Rage Monster, and this would have been just a horrible, profanity-laden edition of Conversational Chaos. It would have been a lot of beeps. Okay?
It would have been short after we cut it all out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, since you bring it up, I guess we should mention the intern is back for another session. She never really left, but her quality of work declined significantly to 0.
Truth.
So we're going to try and give her somewhat control over our Instagram channel and see how that goes.
Yeah, she claims to be a wonderful Instagram person. I don't know what... Instagrammer? Is that what you'd call one of those people? I don't really even know. So we will relinquish control, which is good because neither one of us are terribly good at it. So we're going to hand that over to her and see how that goes.
When she says wonderfully good, though, she also is very excited to do fact checks.
That's very true.
So that lasted a little while. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
We shall see.
So what's on the docket this morning, Mr. Jason?
So when this one comes out, it's close to Memorial Day.
Mm.
Do you have any Memorial Day traditions that you do or start of summer in your household?
I used to. When I was growing up, my father played in a marching band. He still does. He's in his mid-60s now, and he still marches. He plays trumpet player.
Trumpet?
Trumpet, yeah.
Is that with the 3 buttons?
Well, it's a 3-valve.
3-valve
trumpet, but there are 4-valve trumpets.
Okay.
But he only plays a 3-valve.
You don't call them buttons?
They're not buttons. They're valves. This is the time of the year in the late spring, so May and into June, where there just happens to be parades kind of all over. So he was in a marching band. I believe, I could be wrong, I'll have to look this one up, but I believe that he is in the oldest continually operating firemen's marching band in the country.
Oh.
And I think it's been a marching band since 1860-something.
Oh, wow.
And he started marching in the band, I believe, when he was a kid. I mean, he was still in high school, I think.
Oh.
So that was in the 60s. I mean, he's been marching in it ever since.
Every year?
Every year he marches. It's parade season. That's really what we always called it. But there was always a Memorial Day parade in the town where I grew up. And I grew up in a small town, 1,500 people, I think, roughly, that lived in the village. And so it was, a local kind of parade. So you had the firemen marching band, the school's marching band.
1,500 people, that's fairly small.
Yeah, that's pretty small.
Sorry, I'm a little bit behind. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. So we had the firemen's marching band, the high school's marching band, and then you had like a few floats for this or that, or the mayor, and then the Little League and like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, stuff like that. It was a very quaint parade. There was nothing really special about it.
Yeah. But
it was something I really, really enjoyed. I enjoyed it every single year, even the years that I had to march in it, which I never liked to do.
Did you play while you marched?
Yeah.
What did you play?
Well, I was a trombone player.
Slide trombone or valve trombone?
Slide trombone. Yeah, not the button trombone. I was a slide trombone player. Played the slide trombone for years. I played that in high school. When I graduated from high school, I still played, and I played in the firemen's marching band with my dad, which was really cool.
Okay.
And my brother also played in the band at that time, so seeing the 3 of us in the band must have been kind of neat for my mom. There's a photo.
What did he play? Sorry.
My brother played the trumpet, the 3-valve. 3-valve
okay.
trumpet, yeah. And so there's a photo that was on the front page of kind of like the local paper. There's a paper that's local to the area. It's like 3 or 4 towns in the area. And it's basically New England where I grew up. So like every 10 miles, there's a small town. So my small town, and 10 miles away, there's another small town that's very similar.
Yeah.
And you go in any direction, you're going to run into another small town. This paper kind of covered like 3 or 4 small towns in the area. And there was a picture on the front cover of the marching band, the firemen's band in the parade. And we're in all in our uniforms. And the picture shows I was playing the bass drum in this particular parade.
Okay.
Me playing the bass drum, and then my brother behind me playing the trumpet, and then my dad was to his right. So this photo was taken kind of at an angle, so you could see all 3 of us in this photo. Wow. Yeah. And they got a copy of it, my parents do, at the house somewhere. That was kind of the tradition that I had forever
Yeah.
on Memorial Day was always parades. It was parades going somewhere. My dad always woke up early in the morning because he would get up and he always played taps at cemeteries. It's just something that he has done.
When? Every day?
On Memorial Day.
On Memorial Day, okay. Did they invite him or he just kind of shows up?
They invited him. He got paid.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. He got paid to do some of them. And I think for some reason, I'm sure my dad will tell me because he listens to the podcast, but I think that he refused payment from most of them out of respect.
But it was just an official
Yes,
thing.
It's like an official thing. So it's like, a veteran cemetery or where they're at a cemetery, a local cemetery where they're honoring the veterans or whatever. And so he would go and he would play taps.
Oh, wow.
And my brother went, not every year, but sometimes my brother would go. Because when you hear taps, you will hear the main and then you'll hear an echo.
Okay.
It's just called the echo. And my dad would play the main taps. He'd be right near where they're doing their ceremony. My brother would be off somewhere else.
Oh, really? Playing the same thing?
Yeah.
Just like a half a second behind or something?
Yeah, it would be a little bit behind.
Being further away was enough.
No, he'd be a little bit behind.
Oh, wow.
And
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's called the echo. So they would do that. And Dad would always wake up early in the morning and I have to be at, so-and-so cemetery at this time and so cemetery at this time. But he had to be back by like 10 o'clock in the morning for the parade. So it was always kind of like, people running around sort of crazy in the morning. But it was always really fun. And I really enjoyed that. And I missed that. That's something that I really, really wish I could do again. I don't know, it takes me back to childhood or whatever. But ever since I've lived in Maryland, which has been 19 years now.
Yeah.
I don't do anything.
No.
I do nothing for Memorial Day.
Do you still have your trombone?
Oh, yeah.
No. Do you still play it?
Absolutely.
You should bring it in and play it on the podcast.
Absolutely not. It's actually funny. For several years, I didn't play at all. I haven't played in front of people probably 15 years with it. But for like 10 years, I kind of stopped sort of playing. I just didn't have time and was doing other stuff. But my older daughter, who's in 4th grade now, when you're in 3rd grade in Maryland, you can start an instrument, but they limit you to string instruments, so orchestra instruments, so violin, viola, cello, bass.
Is there a reason?
I don't really know what the reason is. There is a reason, I'm sure, but I don't know why that is. So you can't start a brass or a woodwind instrument until 4th grade. So she played the cello for a year.
Okay.
And then
Cello?
Yep, she played the cello.
That's a big one. Is it a big one?
Well...
Is it like an adult-sized one, or do they have kid-sized cellos?
No, they have kid-sized ones. You can get like a half cello or a 3/4 cello. Okay. What they do is they measure you.
Yeah.
And they measure your hands and stuff.
Oh, and then they give you the matching size.
They can determine which size you should have. So she had a cello for a year, and she played it. She was actually really good at it. I'm surprised. She took to music like a duck to water. And I guess she kind of has it in her genes a little bit. I mean, I studied music from the first 2 years I was in college.
Right.
I majored in trombone, obviously, and I minored in classical guitar. But coming from I guess you'd call it a musical family, my dad was always, tooting on his trombone and, on his trumpet. And during parade season, when we were kids, we would go to, 15 parades a summer. It was kind of crazy.
Oh, wow.
But my brother played, my sister played, my mom played when she was younger. She stopped when she got older, but my dad still plays. He continues to play. And I had uncles who played instruments, cousins, everybody in the family played something, so sort of musical. So she kind of took to it really well, and I was hoping that she was going to stick with the cello because I love the sound of a cello.
Oh, yeah?
She didn't want to do that.
No.
Over the summer, we were encouraging her to stick with the cello, but she said she really wanted to play the trumpet. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine, because my father, who she calls Poppy, I was like, Poppy has several trumpets. We'll just get a trumpet from Poppy, and you can start learning how to play the trumpet if you want. And she decided eventually that she didn't want to play the trumpet. She wanted to play the trombone. Why she picked the trombone, I don't know exactly, but she picked the trombone, so we got her like a student model trombone.
Is that smaller too? Or are they just standard size?
No, it's...
Because they can be long, can't they?
No, they're all the same length.
Yeah.
The difference is really the size of the bell that makes...
To slide, though, doesn't it have to slide out really far?
It does. It slides out really far, but she's really tall. My wife and I are both over 6 feet tall, so she's really tall. She's got long arms, so she can reach.
Oh, okay.
Trombone has 7 positions, and when I was learning to play the trombone, so I was in 3rd grade when I started, I could barely reach 6th position. You don't need to be able to reach 7th. 7th, you can get away with never using 7th position at all.
Okay.
So I could barely reach 6th, but she can reach 6th with no problem. So she has no issues with it. So we got her student model trombone, and I started playing with her because
dueling trombones.
No, she would ask for help, and I would go down and I would practice with her, and I would kind of show her what to do. And as a result, she's actually in the beginning band because she's only a 4th grader.
Yeah.
Halfway through this year, she was actually promoted to advanced band with the older kids because she was so much more advanced than the other kids in the beginning band.
Yeah.
And we get notes from her band director all the time saying how proud he is of her and how he's amazed at how far she's gotten in such a short amount of time. And my response to my wife was, well, it helps that she has a private tutor at home. I get to so I get to sit down and play with her, and it depends. So yes, I still play, but I play like easy stuff with her. I haven't played in years.
That's exciting though.
Yeah, it's fun.
You should definitely do like dueling trombones, like they do dueling fiddles,
dueling violins.
Oh, like the fiddles.
Dueling banjos.
That would be awesome to hear. Dueling. You could travel around doing that.
The father-daughter dueling trombones. We probably could, actually.
So when you slide a trombone, is there like clicks, or is it just you just have to know where the spot is?
You just have to know. First position is all the way up. Third position is right even with the bell.
Right.
So those ones are easy, 1st and 3rd. 2nd, it's only a couple inches shy of 1st. 4th is a few inches shy of 3rd. The one that's tricky is 5th. That's because there's really no reference point. You just have to know. It's literally like muscle memory as to where these positions are.
Yeah, I mean, 7's positions, that's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, so 7 would be easy.
Yeah, there's no clicks. It just slides. It's very smooth.
Do they have the cap too, or the muffler? Do you have one of those?
It's called a mute. And a WahWah. Those are the cap is the thing that they'll hold over the bell and wah wah wah.
Like a guitar?
Different. Well, I think there's a mute, and I think it's called a WahWah mute. Maybe I could be wrong, but basically there's a mute that goes in that literally gets like stuffed in the bell that mutes the sound. It just deadens the sound because a trombone can be very sharp sounding. It can also be very loud. So if you want a particular sound, you can put different mutes in there to kind of change the sound. But the WahWah is what looks like a plunger, head.
Okay. Yes.
You hold over the bell and covers the hole, and when you play, you can open it depending.
That's what I was talking about.
Yes, that's a WahWah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's wah 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 wah. That kind of stuff. Yeah. That's using a WahWah. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
No, I don't have one of those anymore.
You don't have one.
No.
You used to?
I used to have one. Yeah.
Did you march with one of those?
No,
that's too much.
Yeah, you probably never would. I mean, I'm sure people do. I'm not going to say you would never do that, but I have never done that.
I mean, that would be kind of hard to balance, I guess, because you've got the slide and your notes and all that good stuff.
Well, mostly I marched with music because I felt very uncomfortable.
Yes.
With...
You have one of those little holders, like those little photo holders kind of thing?
Photo holders. It's called a lyre. Yes. I did. And they're all different. There's different lyres for different instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I had one for the trombone, and I used it because I felt very uncomfortable with the idea of having to remember all of the music. So I would just keep it and keep the music up, and sometimes I looked at it, sometimes I didn't. But there were some of these older guys that I marched with when I was doing the fireman's band thing.
Yeah.
They memorized everything. Well, it also helps. The marches, you play the same kind of marches like every year, so you might add a couple of different ones here or there, but they were also really good. They were really good trombone players, and so they just memorized everything. So they never had music for them at all.
So was your dad in the fire department? He's honorary member?
No, he was in the fire department.
Was he?
Yes. But
he didn't fight fires. He had
he did.
Different duty. Oh, he did?
Oh, he fought fires. Yeah, when we were kids, he used to keep his turnout gear in the house.
What's a turnout gear?
That's the fireman's garb, like their boots and their fireproof pants and their coats and stuff.
Did you say it was volunteer?
Yes, it was volunteer.
Oh, so they had to get dressed at home and run to the fire.
They didn't have to, but yes, they could.
Okay.
A lot of people just kept their turnout gear in their car, and they would. It depends. When you're a volunteer department, it's really weird how it works. You don't have to go to the station to be able to go to the fire. You can drive your personal vehicle to the fire. So, and when you're a volunteer service, people are working kind of all over. So everybody had a pager.
Oh.
And a pager would go off, and it would say, whatever the story was, well, somebody had to go to the firehouse to get the trucks.
Oh.
And then they would go to the fire. So you could either meet the people at the firehouse and get on the trucks and go, or you could just drive to the fire site. But you had to have your turnout gear.
Oh. Did they have like designated people that were close to the truck?
I honestly, I don't know. I think the answer to that is no, but they had designated people that could drive the trucks. You had to have a certain license to be able to drive the fire trucks.
Yeah.
So not everybody in the department could. But he was in the fire department and was actually kicked out.
Oh. Did they still let him play in the band?
Yeah, there's really no affiliation between the fire department itself and the band. It's just organized that way. Yeah, there's no actual affiliation. So,
was there a good reason why he was kicked out? Was he starting the fires?
No, it's a volunteer service, so you kind of take what you can get, right?
Yeah.
So you have and I grew up kind of in the country, so you have a lot of country boys, you know. Well, and they're small fire departments. So like all these small towns, like I was mentioning earlier, there are fire departments in all of these small towns, right? Because you can't very well have a fire department 15 miles away and expect them to actually get there and save anything but the foundation. I mean, that's just kind of silly. So all these small towns have little fire departments, but they don't have a ton of equipment. Okay. So
they'll have one truck?
They'll have a couple of trucks usually. Okay. So what'll happen is if fire department A, say their little district has a fire, well then they have to take both their trucks or whatever to that fire. Well, then that leaves their fire department completely unattended.
Right.
So if there's another fire, they're kind of in trouble. So what they'll do is they'll call, it's not mutual aid. Mutual aid is when they have to send fire trucks from other communities to the fire. Standby, that's what it was called.
Okay.
One fire truck from a surrounding town would go to that empty firehouse just to sit there in case another fire came up. So there was a fire in a neighboring town called Buskirk, and so the Buskirk department was out fighting the fire, and they called Cambridge, the small town that I grew up in, for standby. So my dad responded with several other firemen, and they took the truck down to Buskirk. Well, turns out...
Wait a minute. The fire was in Muskirk?
The fire was in Buskirk.
Buskirk,
yes.
Which is the neighboring town.
So
their fire department
was fighting the fire, yes.
So your dad went as standby.
Yes, they went as standby, which means that Cambridge took one of their trucks down to Buskirk's fire station.
Okay, just to hang out.
Just to basically hang out in case there was another car accident, another fire, something.
Right.
And apparently all of the volunteers from Cambridge that went down to Buskirk discovered that the soda machine that the Buskirk Fire Department had in their fire station was full of beer and not soda. So they started getting beers out of this vending machine. And so they were here at this firehouse where they're supposed to be there as like standby, drinking beers. And then apparently the chief shows up at the fire station. And
the Cambridge or the Buskirk?
The Cambridge chief shows up at the Buskirk fire station later, kind of make sure everything was okay. And he sees these guys sitting around drinking beer, which this is also back at this probably the late 70s or early 80s. So I'm not surprised.
People used to drink that in their office.
Exactly. So I'm not surprised at this behavior. But he saw this, and apparently he was extremely angry with the fact that they were at this fire station drinking beer when they're supposed to be there on standby in case of an emergency,
Yeah.
And so he got really angry. And I guess from what I can recall was that he basically asked who was responsible. And my father just took the responsibility for it. Okay. And as a result was booted from the fire department.
Yeah.
So sorry, Dad. But my brother did for years.
He was in the fire department.
My brother was in the volunteer fire department for many years. He also did rescue squad, which is also a volunteer service.
Oh, like the Jaws of Life.
Yeah.
Things like that. Wow.
Yeah. So, and honestly, if I had stayed there, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
It sounds really redneck and kind of country, but yeah, I totally would have done that. Yeah.
Well, someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Did he have the orange light, like the flashing light or yellow light on his car?
They have flashing lights. Every place is different. I believe that the ones in New York are blue or green.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because the police, every state you go to,
Yeah.
police have different light configurations, and fire trucks have different light configurations.
Oh, I thought it was standard.
Not really.
No?
No. It is sort of,
Yeah.
but I want to say that maybe it was blue lights were just the volunteers, and the green lights were like the officers.
The fire department officers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it was blue was fire, and green was rescue squad. I don't remember.
Okay.
Because they're different. In New York, the services were different.
Yeah.
Because like here in Maryland, if you call 911 for some sort of emergency at your home and they have to send an ambulance,
You usually get the whole fleet.
Yeah, exactly. You get an ambulance and a fire truck because they're all conglomerate. They're all together. Whereas in New York, they're actually separate entities. So you have the fire department and you have the rescue squad, and they're not the same. They're
so
funded
you could get just one or the other.
Absolutely.
Oh,
wow. Good chance if there's a fire, the rescue squad's probably going to show up too.
Yeah.
Why wait to have an emergency to show up?
Yeah.
It's a fire. You might need it. So, but if you just called the rescue squad, like somebody was having a heart attack or something, then the rescue squad would show up by itself.
Okay.
So, well, that was really, whew.
All right, but I have a question back on the marching band. So you wear the uniforms, I guess you would call it, of a marching band. Is there a historical reason why you wear similar attire, or is it just for fun? Like the big fuzzy hats with the...
We didn't have big fuzzy hats, but we had what looks like midshipman hats. Like their dress white hats.
Oh, like the paper hats, kind of?
No, like paper hats. They're not swabbies. I'm talking about an officer's, like a naval officer's white hat. You know what I'm talking about?
Like a boat captain's hat with like the gold wheel on the front?
It looks exactly like that, but it didn't have a gold wheel on the front. But yes, it was that type of hat, and we had red wool jackets, white shirts, navy blue ties, navy blue pants with red stripes on the side.
Is it supposed to mean something, or is why do marching bands wear those? Just for fun?
You want everyone to look the same.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's a flair thing.
Okay.
Kind of like flashy.
Yeah. I mean, red wool coat seems a little bit warm in the summer.
Sometimes it was. Yeah. And sometimes it was beneficial because you start parades May.
Yeah.
And you march in parades until like September, October. So sometimes it's really cold.
I guess
and you want that wool coat.
Yeah.
It did stink when it rained though.
Oh.
Because of the weird wet wool smell.
Yeah.
As long as it wasn't like a torrential thunderstorm, you marched.
You still marched.
So even if it was raining, you still marched.
Cool. Anything else do you start the summer? Do you like break out your grill or anything like that?
I actually grill all year.
All year long? What kind of grill do you have? Is it a gas grill or a charcoal grill?
Oh, it's a gas.
Okay.
It's a gas.
That's all I was wondering.
And it's a 2-burner. Like these people who buy like these 5-burner.
Like 2 rows inside, or like 2 like kitchen stovetop burners?
It's 2 rows inside.
Okay.
It does have a side like kitchen burner.
Yeah.
Which on this particular grill that I have, I've never used, but I have used it on my old grill in the past.
Yeah.
Boil water, cook clams, do something outside that you don't want to do in the house.
Okay.
So how about you?
Charcoal. Well, yeah, wood charcoal. I prefer that.
Oh, really?
The gas one probably cooks better, but I still like building the fire.
Yeah.
So I have the charcoal and I have the chimney starter. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
And then I usually just throw a whole bunch of fluid on there too.
Oh my God, you're a fluid user? You have the chimney. Why don't you just use kindling?
I do.
Why do you put...
It starts out, I'll put the kindling underneath, like paper or something, right? And then I'll fill the chimney starter with the charcoal, and then I'll put like a trail of fluid out leading from the paper to some puddle, and then I can light the puddle and watch it just all go up.
So you're basically, see, all these questions about the fire department, I'm beginning to think that you're some sort of firebug.
It's a safe place to do it. You use magnesium in the flint and steel.
Oh yeah, isn't that
That's
cool?
Fun to do. Yeah. So we made, what was it? Newspaper dipped in like paraffin oil and used that to start the fires. That worked really well. My kids are big into watching like Bear Grylls and Survivorman. They like watching him go out into the unknown places and try and survive.
I was more of a Les Stroud fan. He was the Survivorman. Bear Grylls was Bear Grylls.
Yeah, that's the one we prefer.
Yeah,
because he's more of the...
He's actually out there surviving as opposed to Bear Grylls, who's just showing you how to survive, but he has a crew with him and medical stuff, whatever. Yeah. I like Les Stroud, and he stopped for a while, but he came back with his son.
Oh, really?
Then it was like Survivorman and Son or something, and they were out doing the same kind of stuff, the two of them together, and that was really cool.
I have to look for that one.
Yeah.
That would be neat.
Yeah,
because I think Bear Grylls does like celebrities trying to survive now, which that just seems silly.
He did. I don't know if that continued or not.
Yeah.
He's actually doing a new series on, I think it's the National Geographic Channel. He's narrating it. He's not actually in it, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's like your channel, isn't it?
Yeah, I watch a lot of National Geographic.
Yeah.
Discovery Channel, National Geographic Channel, History Channel are the three channels that are like my go-to. If I watch TV, I'm watching one of those three, usually.
There was something else I was going to... Oh, clams. So you mentioned clams.
Mm.
Do you like clams?
No.
Oh.
Not at all.
Okay. Do the people in your house like clams?
Yes.
Who likes clams in your house?
My older daughter
Yeah?
and my wife.
What do they like about them? They look like they should be delicious, and I've tried them several times. Yeah, they taste terrible.
I just ate one. We were in... Man, seriously, the last few editions, every time we've been recording, I had just gotten back from travel.
Yeah.
I was in Florida a few weeks ago.
Right.
And we went out to like a local fishmonger, local fish store.
Okay.
And they had bags, like big old bags of clams. So they got a big old bag of clams for my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Love clams.
Yeah.
My wife likes clams. My older daughter likes clams. So it left my younger daughter and myself to not eat the clams, which I was fine with.
Right.
But every once in a while, I kind of get that bug. You know what? Your taste buds change over your lifetime. So you know what? I'll try it again to see if I like it. Tried it again. Nope. Still disgusting.
Yeah. They look like they're fun to cook.
You don't do anything.
I've watched cooking shows where they cook them. You put like different flavors in the water to steam it. It gets in there, and wines and seasonings.
It's still gross.
Yeah, I've gone to the restaurant. It's like when you go to the restaurant, though, you can't buy like 2 clams. Like I just want to buy 2 clams, see what they taste like.
I guess you could if they were gigantic.
Yeah. But either way, that's still a lot of clams. You usually have to buy like several.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just keep thinking my batch must have been bad because I see people loving them, but
my father-in-law doesn't eat clams cooked.
What?
He eats them raw, which is like eating an oyster, I guess.
Oysters aren't cooked? Oh, I guess they call them raw oysters, so I guess not.
That's why it's called a raw bar, not a cooked bar.
Point. Yeah.
It's raw.
Raw clams. I guess you got to just like crack them open.
Yeah, it's called shucking, but yes.
Oh, I guess that's true.
And there's a special like flat, it's not really a knife. I mean, you can call it a clam knife. That's what a lot of people call it, but it's just like a knife without really an edge, but you use it to kind of like wiggle in there and you kind of crack it open. You can rip one side of the shell off and there's the live clam.
Yeah.
And
I guess it's probably similar to oysters in that way. Open them.
I actually will eat raw oysters.
Yeah.
Oddly enough. Yeah, but I will not eat clams or mussels. They're disgusting.
Yeah. I've had oysters. They were okay. It's just, they're okay. But clams, though, I don't know. I keep trying them, hoping for something.
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing. I keep trying.
Yeah.
And it never works.
What about crabs? Do you eat crabs?
I actually just recently, for the first time ever, ordered a crab cake.
What?
I've eaten crab cakes before.
Yeah?
Like ones that sometimes my wife will get a crab cake and I'll eat a little bit of it, or somebody else will. Oh, I'm not going to eat all this. It's huge. You want some? I'll take some.
Yeah.
But I've never ordered one on my own because I like crab, but I don't like it enough to want to spend $35 on a crab cake. Well, we were out somewhere.
That's a lot for a crab cake.
Well, it was a big one.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So I ordered a fairly good-sized crab cake when we were somewhere. We were somewhere for dinner recently. And it was actually pretty good, but I still wouldn't order. I refuse to shuck crab. I will not clean a crab to eat the meat. That's the dumbest activity.
It's not dumb.
It's the dumbest activity one can engage in.
It's fun.
I don't get it.
It's fun.
It is not fun.
You can sit there all day
fun about it. You get your fingers all cut up from the shells.
If you're getting cut up, you're not doing it right.
You wind up, you work for like an hour.
Yeah.
And then you wind up with like a half a cup of crab meat.
Yeah.
And it's not worth it.
It's fun. That's why you don't get a whole lot, so you can just continue to do it. You never have to stop.
I have been to crab feasts before.
Yeah. And
I've literally sat at tables just drinking beer and talking, not eating crab.
Why should I eat the crab?
I'm not going to work for it. That's dumb. So dumb to sit there shucking crabs. I don't understand why people think that's so much fun. They have like processing plants where people can like clean a whole crab, the whole thing,
right,
in like
no time.
10 seconds. It's amazing how they do that.
Yeah.
I'll let them do that for me because they can do 10 crabs in, a minute.
Yeah.
Whereas me, it would take me to do 10 crabs. It'd probably take me 3 hours. It's not worth it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my effort. And trust me, it's not that good.
It's not bad. It's good.
It's not bad, but it's not worth.
It's not like eating a steak. It's not like that kind of flavor. It's different.
I know. I'm not saying I dislike the flavor, but it's not that good.
I think a while back we had mentioned the trivia guy. Do you remember that?
No.
No. Do you know who I'm talking about? The trivia guy?
Oh, the guy on Jeopardy. That
No.
trivia guy? Oh, yeah.
So the trivia guy.
Yeah, trivia guy.
He and his daughter travel all around the state trying out crab cakes. And
Yes,
they have
that's
like
true.
a database of which ones have the best crab cakes. My mother-in-law makes the best crab cakes, though. Oh, they're
Really?
delicious. Yeah, with some soy and garlic noodles on the side. That was the first time I had a crab cake. It's
Is your
fantastic.
wife from Maryland?
Yes, she's lived a long time in Maryland. She wouldn't say she's from Maryland.
Because it's kind of weird to find someone who wasn't raised here that makes really good crab cakes.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I went to Florida for a trip once, and they had Maryland-style crab cake. It had like corn and carrots in it. What is that? Never been to Maryland.
And if you get a crab cake in Maryland, it's basically just infused with Old Bay. And if you get a
Yeah.
Maryland-style crab cake outside of Maryland, there's like no Old Bay in it.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's not Maryland style. There's no Old Bay in it. Do you have friends that grew up here?
Not really, no.
I had a roommate
Yeah.
who grew up here in Maryland, and he literally bought those giant tins, like
Oh, yeah?
those huge tins of Old Bay
Yeah.
on everything.
Everything?
He put Old Bay on everything. And when I say everything, I mean French fries, potatoes, steak, cereal. Like he would
What?
literally put it on
Cheerios?
everything. Everything.
Oh,
He loved it. He would
Yeah.
go through like a huge tin of that stuff in like a week.
wow.
I mean, his cholesterol and his sodium levels must have just been like through the roof. But
Well, it's not going to cause bad
it'll
cholesterol.
cause bad sodium, though, I guess is what I'm
Sodium's
getting
good for you.
at. To an extent.
Yeah, I didn't find out about it till I moved here, about Old Bay.
I had never heard of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
never until I came here. But a lot of restaurants here, they have it on the table,
Yeah.
like salt and pepper. So you
Yeah.
have salt and pepper and then a little tin of Old Bay.
Old Bay.
Because a lot of people that are local use it.
I haven't tried it on other things, just because I guess when I first had it, it was always on crabs. So when you have it on something other than crabs, it just makes you think of crabs. But on crabs, yeah, it's fantastic.
I've gotten into recently, I generally cook meat in the house.
Okay.
And when I say that is, what I mean is my wife really doesn't cook meat. So if we're having like chicken or pork, she'll cook a pork loin. But if something has to be grilled or something has to be like cooked on the stovetop or
Yeah.
anything, that's usually me that does it.
Will she cook like the potatoes and the sides, or is it like it's meat night, you're just cooking?
I'm sorry, all we're having tonight is meat. We're having nothing else. No, generally if I'm cooking the meat, I'm cooking the sides too, usually. Because it's like, our kitchen's not
Okay.
very big, so you don't want two people walking around in there bumping into each other. So I've gotten into trying different spice and seasoning combinations on chicken.
Okay.
Every week we buy chicken cutlets,
Okay.
and I'll cut them into strips, and I'll saute them. The girls don't like chicken if it's plain. They have to have something on it.
Like just plain nothing? Like just plain?
Yeah, that's usually what that means. Like, what I'll do is I'll get a pan on the stove. I'll put a little bit of olive oil in there,
Yeah.
let that heat up, and then I just throw the chicken in there. They don't like it just that way. You have to put something else
Yeah.
on it, some kind of seasoning, right? So
Do you like it that way?
I can eat it.
Well, that's right. You don't have taste buds, though.
exactly. My taste buds are missing.
That's a good sign for your kids.
So they want to have some kind of seasoning on there. So I leave their stuff fairly tame as far as the seasoning goes.
Yeah. They're extra strong at
Yes, but like I destroy ours. My wife and I always put a ton of seasoning on there, just kind of to experiment. And it's always like cayenne pepper and paprika and like Tony's Creole seasoning and just like all this stuff we have in our spice cabinet. I'm like, I don't even know what cumin is. Let me put that on there. But I haven't had anything bad yet. Nothing's come out and been like, oh God, this is terrible. Because I'll smell it first. Smell it and be like, oh, that smells like it would be good on chicken. I'll put a little bit on there.
Yeah.
basil, sage, whatever.
Yeah.
So
cool.
This is like a meandering, wandering episode. Really has 0 point. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today, Chaos fans. I know this is almost a nonsensical episode, but I think it's still pretty good. What do you think, Jason?
I think it's good.
I think it's pretty good, too. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning into our next edition. This is going to be edition 18, and look forward to doing this again.
Yeah, enjoy your start of the summer.